Looking to get your hands on a brand new Sony TV, but not sure which model is right for you? Well, here is everything that you need to know to make the perfect choice. Yeah, that's right, it's TV season, and although we might not have seen Sony announce their 2023 range at CES this year, as expected, they're back with some pretty exciting additions to their lineup. From a new generation QD OLED to more affordable mini LED and full array LEDs, upgraded OLEDs, and enhancements to their cognitive XR processor, there is plenty to get our teeth into with this one. As always, while we do sell Sony TVs along with other brands, I'm not here to try and sell you guys the most expensive TV possible. Rather that we know the struggle of trying to find the perfect TV. So this guide is here to break down all of that technical jargon and help you guys make the best and importantly most informed decision for your space, your budget and usage preferences. Now we have got a load of other TV content lined up this year, including in-depth reviews and comparisons, so make sure you guys get in the comments with what you'd like to see and make sure you subscribe for more. Now a little heads up for you all, this might be a long video, so if you've already got your heart set on a specific model and you just want to learn a little bit more, then feel free to use the chapters below to skip ahead. Otherwise, you can kick back, relax, and we'll crack on with the video. Now, when it comes to TV technology, there is a constant battle between the big brands for the next best thing, from new models to exciting panel types to the latest and greatest technology. And in all honesty, it can be very hard to sift through the jargon and work out what actually matters. Now this year, Sony has gone about things a little bit differently because along with all of the innovation, they've actually stripped back their lineup this time around. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of new tech to choose from, but a big focus for them this year has been reducing the number of models in the range, so we can better understand where all the TVs sit in relation to one another, which to be fair makes my life a whole lot easier. Now these here are the main models that you're going to want to get to know this year, and they can be split up like this. We've got LED, full array LED, mini LED, OLED and QD OLED. Now you might notice there are no 8K models this year, and it does look like Sony are dipping out of the 8K race this year with no new model launching, and last year's models aren't being continued either, but I think that's a conversation for another day. All you need to know is there's no 8K model in this lineup. Now all these models can all be split into two different categories based on their processor. You've got your Bravia models along here, which are all powered by the X1 or X1 HDR processor, and the Bravia XR models along here, which use Sony's much more advanced cognitive XR processor. Now for context, the processor is the brains behind the TV, controlling everything that we see in here. So these Bravia XR models are where you're going to see a lot of the latest and greatest bits of technology. But before we dive into the range, there is one thing that I want to clear up to make our life a whole lot easier. TV names. Now, as we all know, TV manufacturers seem to have a competition for who can have the most confusing model names, but we've actually found that once you break it down, it's not all that bad and can actually help you work out some important information about the TV. So let's take a look at this model name, for example. XR55A80LU. So starting with the XR at the front, this tells us that this TV uses the Bravia XR cognitive processor that I just mentioned. The 55 here refers to the screen size in inches, so 55 inches in this example, and don't forget that's measured diagonally from corner to corner. The A signifies that this is from Sony's A range, which is their OLED models. X would be LED for reference. The 80 is how high up in the range the model is, so 90 would be a model above, for example. The L is the year this model is from. L is 2023, K was 2022, and so on. And then we can discount the U at the end, as that's not important. Now you might also find other models online with slightly different model numbers, etc. And normally those are an exclusive model for a specific retailer or something like that, or a slight variation on the model. Now usually the only differences between these will be the remote or the stands. Now don't worry if you've got to rewind that a couple of times. I definitely did to get my head around it, but hopefully it's a nice little starting point for us all to move forward. Okay, we've nailed the TV names, but before we get into each model, I just want to quickly go through some of the main new technologies coming to Sony TVs in 2023. So first up, we've got a new game menu in all of the 2023 models mentioned today, which brings a host of new and improved features when you're gaming on your TV. You can control VRR, there's motion noise reduction, black equalizer, a handy crosshair function, and a custom field of view setting called custom screen, which reduces the image on screen, essentially resizing it. So you can see everything a little bit easier. Now this year, Sony have also made a big push towards energy efficiency and have created a new Eco dashboard, which appears as an app on the home screen of your TV. It's essentially designed to make it easier to monitor how energy efficient you're being, and it helps you make the most of power saving settings if you want to use less energy. While not new for 2023, Sony's Bravia Core streaming service is now available on all the models I'm covering today, even the entry X75WL. Previously, this has been reserved for the XR models. Now, if you're not familiar, Bravia Core gives you access to the Sony Pictures Entertainment Library and lets you stream in up to 80 megabits per second, which is a better streaming quality than the likes of Netflix and Disney Plus, which are 15 megabits and 25 megabits. Now, each TV comes with a different amount of credits that you can spend on film, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. Right, now that's out of the way, let's kick things off with Sony's entry-level LED model, the X75WL. Now the W lets us know that this is entry-level according to Sony, and it's available in a wide range of sizes from 43 to 75 inch. It's powered by Sony's standard 4K processor X1, which is now classed as an entry-level processor. However, it does support Dolby Vision and is going to be plenty good enough for a secondary space or something like that. This TV, as well as the rest of the models in the range from here up, feature a Google TV operating system built in too, which is a nice improvement on your generic smart TV platforms, and probably our favourite OS for TVs right now, as it seems to have the least amount of ads. We've got a 2 10-watt X-balanced speaker arrangement with Dolby Atmos support, as well as 4 HDMI ports, with 2 of them supporting HDMI 2.1, ALLM, and auto HDR tone mapping for smoother and more responsive gameplay, but there's no VRR on this model. The X75WL only has a refresh rate of 50 to 60 Hz, so motion won't be as smooth as the 120 Hz panel. Now the next model up, the X80L, is a very similar model, but only available in the larger size of 85 inch. The main difference is the step up to Sony's 4K HDR processor X1, and the added benefit of Tri-Luminous Pro color enhancements means that you're going to get a slight improvement in the realism and accuracy of colors. Now we also step up aesthetically to a more flush bezel and glossy finish. Right then, time to step out of entry-level LED and into that higher performance bracket with the X85L. This is Sony's first of 2 available full array models in the lineup. Now this can produce a higher quality image that's cleaner and brighter to look at. Now this technology also uses something called local dimming, which essentially is a more targeted way of dimming certain areas of the screen, so you get those darker, deeper and richer images with more accurate shadows that feel more lifelike and definitely more realistic. It's a big upgrade on the tech that we've covered in the previous models, and definitely a step in the right direction if you're looking for a higher performing telly. Back to the X85L though, and this one had more than just a facelift in the last year. Interestingly, 2022's model, the X85K, was actually just a standard LED TV. So this is arguably the TV that's undergone the most drastic transformation within the Sony range, with that step up to full array technology. It's available in 3 different sizes from 55 inch to 75 inch, and has had a pretty big aesthetic rebuff this time around too. It moves away from the pretty chunky bezels that it had back in 2022, and instead has got this much more sleek and seamless slim bezel design that echoes that step towards higher performance. Obviously, again, there's these T-shaped legs that move inwards too, which makes it a perfect option whether you've got a soundbar or not. In terms of actual performance, you're definitely going to see a big upgrade in picture brightness, contrast and motion with this one in comparison to the last model that we looked at. The X85L still uses the same 4K HDR processor X1 that we saw earlier in the X80L, and it sits below the more premium Bravia XR models in the lineup. Other than the panel tech though, there's not a massive difference between the actual hardware of this one and the previous model. We've got the same audio spec and picture enhancements, but we do step up to a native 100 to 120 Hz refresh rate, which makes this a better pick for fast moving content like your sports, action films or games. There's still only 2 out of 4 HDMI ports that support HDMI 2.1, but both of these are capable of running 4K 120 Hz with VRR and ALLM, so it's definitely a much better shout for you gamers out there. Now I think this is a great, versatile TV that's the closest thing to Bravia XR picture quality that you're going to get from a more affordable price point, which is never a bad thing. Right, Remember that step up in processor that I mentioned right at the start of the video? Well, this is where we see the introduction of Sony's Cognitive Processor XR, which is a big step up in performance in comparison to the standard X1 processor. The Cognitive Processor XR understands how humans see and hear in real life and uses that to deliver the most realistic performance possible. It's been around for a few years now, but new for 2023 is the addition of XR Clear Image, which focuses on ensuring all Bravia XR TVs can upscale practically any low-res content immaculately to 4K. The processing power behind Sony TVs is often a key factor for why you might pick a Sony model over another brand, and we have been very impressed by the performance that the Cognitive XR can give. Okay, on to the next model and our top of the range full array LED TV this year. Built to replace the popular X90K from 2022, this one sits below the pricier mini LED and OLED technology, but is still going to offer a really impressive performance. Personally, I see the X90L being a bit of a dark horse in the Sony lineup and one of the most popular models this year. In terms of sizing, this one's available in a great range from 55-inch all the way up to 98-inch for those of you with very large living rooms. Better still, if you really want a smaller screen experience, then you can get your hands on the X90S, which is a continued model from 2022 and the 50-inch version. Design-wise, the X90L doesn't look massively different from the X85L, but it is made from more premium metal parts rather than plastic and has a seamless bezel finish too, which definitely helps the whole thing feel a lot more premium. The stands are again adjustable, but these step up to a three-way design, so you can lift them up, keep them wide, or place them narrow for complete flexibility. Thanks to that upgraded Cognitive XR processor, the new backlight for improved dimming control, new picture processing and more, this is going to be a significant step up in performance across the board from what we've already covered in this video. Now, Sony have said that it's got 60% more dimming zones, better 4K upscaling and 30% higher brightness than its predecessor, and the spec sheets has got all of these buzzwords like XR Contrast Booster, XR Triluminous Pro and XR Clear Image. There's a nice step up in audio too. So we've now got an additional two 5-watt tweeters on top, as well as the two 10-watt full-range drivers as the X85L, and these all are meant to help deliver what Sony calls acoustic multi-audio. This attaches tweeter drivers to the frame of the TV high up on the left and right and combines with other speakers further down to steer the sound and add more positional audio. There's support for Dolby Atmos, DTS digital surround sound, and the start of the Bravia XR range also welcomes the addition of Sony's acoustic center sync. This means this TV will match up perfectly with a compatible Sony soundbar for improved performance, which is ideal if you've already got one of those at home. Now you've got the same 100 to 120 Hz refresh rate as the previous model and the same gaming benefits like the enhanced gaming menu and a total of 4 HDMI ports, with half of them supporting HDMI 2.1 4K 120 Hz as well as VRR and ALLM. Next up, and moving on from full array, let me introduce you to Sony's second generation and now slightly more affordable mini LED TV, the X95L. Now don't get me wrong, as a newer piece of tech, it's still considerably more expensive than the other LED models that we've covered, but in terms of what you get in return, this is going to be a big step up from full array. It's one of the simpler panel technologies to wrap your head around too, and basically just uses loads more of really tightly packed together mini LEDs. This gives even more control over the picture quality, as it can be more precise with which areas of the screen are lit. The X95L is available from 65 to 85-inch, designed for larger spaces, and this one sticks with the premium feel with this ultra minimalist one slate design for enhanced immersion. The stand design gets a complete refresh in this model, but is still movable into 3 different positions. This TV offers an overall improvement in performance with around a 30% brighter picture and 20% more local dimming zones, and an improved backlight for a more vivid picture with better saturation that's actually better than a lot of mid-ranged OLED models, especially in those really bright spaces. As Sony's brightest TV in the range, it does need a lot more control to stop blooming. So to counteract this, along with the Sony Cognitive XR processor, they've also upgraded the original backlight master drive to the XR version, so this TV can fine-tune the picture quality and provide much better color contrast, deeper blacks and more natural mid-tones than last year's model. There's also X anti-reflection and X wide angle technology, which do exactly what they say on the tin and make the viewing experience that little bit more enjoyable too. Audio-wise, this TV features Acoustic Multi-Audio Plus, designed to produce sound that appears to come from where it's happening on the screen, and we've got 6 10-watt speakers to the front and sides to achieve that. The side speakers on this TV are actually frame tweeters, which vibrate the actual metal chassis of the TV to create sound, which is clever technology that they've taken from the 2022 flagship 8K model, the Z9K. Gaming wise, still 4 HDMI ports with 2 supporting HDMI 2.1 120Hz, VRR and ALLM. For us, because of its higher peak brightness, this TV is going to be really versatile and great for both dark spaces or bright rooms. Now, I don't see it being the most popular technology this year, largely down to the pricing and how new the technology is, but for those looking for a bright premium non-OLED this year, then the X95L could be the way to go. Now, just to give you a heads up, you might also be able to find the X93L on certain websites, but to save any confusion, this is a US exclusive model. But for those of you that want to know, it's pretty much just a spec down version of the X95L without features like XR clear image, and it drops down to standard acoustic multi-audio too, so you can expect a slight dip in performance on this one. This year, there's been a lot of change with Sony's OLED options. After going up to 5 different OLED models in 2022, we've lost the A75K and the A90J, and now dropped back to 3 core OLED models in an attempt to simplify their lineup. So we've got the new A80L, the returning A90K, and the upgraded QD OLED, the A95L. Now, OLED has been knocking about for a while now, and plenty of brands have joined the bandwagon and taken the innovation further. But what actually is it? Well, unlike LED TVs, OLED TVs don't need a backlight. Instead, every single diode in a panel emits their own light, which essentially means that each and every pixel can be turned on or off. Now, that's really important because these types of TVs are then able to have even more control over the picture quality, the blacks and contrast ratios. The compromise that we've seen over the years is that OLEDs can struggle to reach the same brightness as LEDs, so we've recently seen a lot of innovation to counteract that and deliver a brighter OLED picture. After dropping the A75K, Sony's entry-level OLED option is the A80L, and it's now available from 55-inch to 83-inch. And for reference, the 83-inch is referred to as the A84L. Now, there's not been a major overhaul from last year, but the A80L stands to be a very popular model in 2023. The OLED performance delivers a vibrant picture with impressive pure blacks, great contrast, and vivid colors. For an OLED, the A80L is fairly bright, and when tested in our bright showroom, performs really well. It's not as bright as mini LED, but it would be a good option for someone living in an average living room with a few windows. Now, when it comes to audio, this is the first model in this year's range to introduce Sony's Acoustic Surface Audio Plus technology, which isn't a new thing, but still a pretty cool feature that you don't get in the models further down the range. This essentially turns your screen into the speaker itself by using 3 10-watt actuators to invisibly vibrate your screen to create powerful audio that moves with whatever you're watching, and 2 10-watt subwoofers for a bass boost too. There's still all of those other features that we've mentioned in previous models too, like Dolby Atmos support and acoustic center sync capabilities to really drive home that cinematic experience with both great sound and picture quality. So this is going to be perfect for pretty much anything that you choose to watch. Again, there's still only 2 out of the 4 HDMI ports supporting HDMI 2.1 4K 120Hz, ALLM and VRR though, but I guess that we can't have it all. In terms of design, this one does scream premium. It has a nearly invisible bezel to draw all of your attention to what's on screen, and it has a slim aluminium wedged 3-way stand that looks a little different to what we've seen before, but still has the same flexibility as the other models that we've looked at. I think all in all, this one is nailed on to be a really solid all-rounder. It's a model that's popular every year, and that's not coincidental, and to be honest with you guys, I see that being repeated this year too. Okay then, what about the A90K? Well, this one's actually been carried over from last year, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this one, and instead, let me point you up here in the direction of our full review if you fancy giving that a watch. Now, don't worry though, I'll take you through the need-to-knows, and the first thing that I've got to mention is the screen size. Available in 42-inch and 48-inch only, this one is primed for those looking for a small screen experience while still retaining the benefits of OLED technology. So, If you're after a bigger screen, then save yourself some time and have a look elsewhere. But for a bedroom or a smaller living room, this could be a very good option. It was an exciting launch for Sony as their smallest OLED ever back in 2022, and it's still a Master Series TV, so it's calibrated for enhanced visual performance fresh out of the box. There's obviously a few differing technologies in there, but to save you on all the tech jargon, I think all you're going to need to know is that it is the better performing OLED in comparison to the A80L. But having tested both of them, the difference isn't as big as you'd think. Having said that, I reckon the main reason that you'd be choosing between these two is down to the screen size anyway. This one is proven to be a great option for gaming though, with that smaller screen size and support for 4K 120Hz with HDMI 2.1, VRR and ALLM. And I can't say that you're going to be disappointed if that's what you're after. Audio-wise, there's still Acoustic Surface Audio Plus, but we do naturally step down the specs to only 2 10-watt actuators and 1 5-watt subwoofer to compensate for the lack of screen space, and obviously Acoustic Center Sync too. Design-wise, this one feels really high-end, especially for a smaller TV, but the aluminium center stand is slightly different from what we've seen in previous models. Still flexible, just a different design that was more commonly used in last year's TVs. Finally, and congratulations for making it this far, let me introduce you to Sony's flagship QD OLED, the A95L, which is available in 55-inch, 65-inch, and finally a larger 77-inch too. Now I know what you're thinking, what's QD OLED and how's it different from traditional OLED? Well, to keep it really simple, QD OLED is powered by quantum dots and is essentially a hybrid option between OLED and quantum dot technology to deliver the best of both worlds. You'll benefit from the high contrast, deep blacks and wide viewing angles of traditional OLEDs, whilst also getting brighter, more vibrant colours that you tend to get with other TV tech with the help of the quantum dots. So to put it simply, you're essentially getting OLED level performance without the brightness issues that OLED TVs traditionally struggle with. Now this sort of tech is becoming the more popular way of making OLEDs. If you want my honest opinion, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. This is the best panel that you're going to be able to get your hands on from Sony right now. So sounds like a little bit of a no-brainer, right? Well, of course you are going to be paying the price for it, so it's worth thinking about that before you dive in, as it's not going to suit everyone's budget. The A95L hasn't got loads of different visual enhancements from previous premium models that we've seen, but it's got all the best bits, and we do step up to XR Triluminous Max, which helps deliver vivid colours at all brightness levels and takes the colour rendition up a notch too. In terms of sound quality, we've still got Acoustic Surface Audio Plus, but there are only 2 actuators in this screen, not 3 like the A80K. However, these are 20 watt, not 10 watt, so better performance there, and you also still get 2 10-watt subwoofers here too. Obviously, as the flagship, we've got all the best gaming features that we've seen throughout all of the models too, but there's no step up to 4 HDMI 2.1, which is a theme in this video, and is a little bit disappointing considering the price that you're going to be paying for this TV. The A95L has a super slim stand design with feet on the edge of the TV that can lift up to make space for a soundbar on the 55-inch and 65-inch models, and on the 77-inch model we have 3 stand options where you also have the option to move the feet inwards. Of course, you could opt to wall mount the TV, and it's now even thinner than last year's A95K, which will give more of that picture frame look. Now, one thing that I haven't mentioned throughout this video yet is Sony's Bravia Cam, and you actually get one of these for free with the A95L, which is another plus as it's an optional extra with every other model in the range. Now basically, you place it on top of your TV and it can be used for gesture control as well as a chat device or webcam. Now it can also help improve your TV's performance with ambient sensing that actually automatically adjusts the brightness depending on how close you are to the screen, adjust the audio to suit where you're sitting, and even dim right down to save energy when it detects that you've left the room. It's definitely not essential, but nice to have, especially considering that it's free. So there we have it, plenty of different options, loads of tech to choose from, and plenty of decisions to have a think on. Now, like I said earlier, we've got a lot more TV content coming your guys' way this year, but make sure you let us know down in the comments below what you'd like to see next. Hopefully though, we've helped you decide your next TV, and if we have, then of course make sure you let us know down below as well. Now these videos are a beast to make, so we appreciate the support, and if you want more personal recommendations, then please get in touch with our team as they'd be more than happy to help, and we'll also be in the comments too, answering your guys' questions. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.